Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Cloud Odyssey webinar for the month of February 2024. As you are aware, Cloud Odyssey is hosting webinars every month on the latest innovations of Salesforce and MuleSoft platform. This month, we came up with another fantastic webinar on a unified experience on the Salesforce Commerce Cloud. Before jumping into that, as you are aware, that industry experts going to deliver our webinars. With that, I like to introduce our today's speaker of the session. He's the one who have around 20 years of experience in the e-commerce ecosystem. And the interesting fact is, in the last 5 years, he done an extensive research and audited around 170 companies, that to e-commerce companies, to understand whether their success can be reverse engineered or not. He didn't stop there. After that, with his extensive knowledge, he wrote a book called Money Making E-commerce, and he started his own online stores. Does anyone be the better person to deliver this subject? No. With that, I would like to introduce our today's speaker of this session, Maurizio Stella. Hi, Maurizio.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
First of all, namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to India.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. How's Bangalore?
Oh, Bangalore is nice and warm, a little spicy, a little traffic, just a tiny bit, but it's great. And you have one thing called sunshine, which we lack a little bit of in London.
Okay.
So I'm quite happy to be here. Yeah.
Oh, Bangalore nature gave you something then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And everyone has to experience our traffic.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. It's you're right. It's an experience more than.
You know what? There was a research done on Bangalore traffic. It would increase your patience levels.
I can understand that. Yes.
No, there was a research on it. Okay. Also, just before getting into this topic itself, I have a couple of questions, and people also ask, especially the business owners, right? When they are choosing the platform, they were so keen on it. Like, what is this platform advantageous? So, I would like to start up with a question. It's like, what is best e-commerce platform in your opinion? It's purely your opinion.
So this is a complex question to answer. Now, although there are many reports that will list the platforms in order of which is more relevant, which is the best platform out there, the reality of things in my mind, and based on my research at least, is that you really have to look into the company who is buying the platform, because any solution is only as good as the use you make of it, right? So although on paper, for example, Commerce Cloud is probably at the very top of the list, it's not applicable. It's not a solution that you can use with every single company out there. If you have a one-man band that just started up and you have you're working on this startup, you don't have the manpower internally to be able to leverage a solution like Salesforce Commerce Cloud at full potential. So for that person, for that company, Salesforce Commerce Cloud wouldn't be the best. If you then look at a more enterprise company where you have several teams working on omni-channel across different territories, across multiple languages, currencies, and so on, then probably Salesforce Commerce Cloud is nearly, I wouldn't say your only choice, but it's definitely one that you have to take into consideration. And in the middle market and SMB space, things move very swiftly. So you have to. I think what makes a merchant successful is their ability, their agility in pivoting, in being able to change strategy and execute on it really fast. So in many ways, I think that Commerce Cloud remains one of the best platforms purely because it delivers that agility in an ability to change and experiment with ease. That's the big advantage that is needed because the market is moving extremely fast.
Absolutely. And that opens up another question to me. It's like, see, every single business, at least the business owners, the founders, they comes up with, in a way, I mean, their intention is to make a conglomerate for that. So just my question is, if I want to start a business, especially in this retail industry where I need a commerce platform, is this platform, because I need bunch of other things as well. It's not only a platform I require some payment integrations, I require some marketing, I require some service, I require some sales. So how come this, or is this platform Commerce Cloud satisfies that purpose? Is it a single point solution, can I say?
I don't. So there isn't one platform that is a single point solution in everything that you need. However, if you consider that the vast majority of the success of an online business is really due to their core foundations, then the question changes slightly, because does Salesforce Commerce Cloud deliver all the core foundations that you need to make a business successful across multiple areas? So that is the capability of doing commerce across different territories and so on, but also delivering customer service experience, and being able to do marketing and marketing automation, being able to target the right audience, being able to personalize the experience. Then Salesforce Commerce Cloud delivers all that pretty much out of the box. And it doesn't do it all at once. It does it in line with your needs. So you can enable different modules depending on what you need and how you need to grow. So with other platforms, what happens is that you need to go and look outside of the platform itself. So take, for example, Adobe. Adobe will have Adobe Commerce, and they will have Sensei for recommendations. But do they have anything for customer service? So
Yes.
just to give an example, right? Or
Yes.
if you go on Commerce Tools, for example, you're looking at a platform which requires a complete front end to be built. It's complete the couple. So you also need additional solutions for customer service, marketing automation, and so on. If you're looking at big commerce, again, it's a relatively comprehensive platform, but it's tailored in a certain way that you still need elements outside of it. If you're looking again at, I think I said Magento already, but if you need order management, you're going to have to look for an order management platform outside of that. With Salesforce Commerce Cloud, all those elements come into the same under the same hood. So you can
Okay.
enable them as and when you need them, and you can scale the solution with your in line with your ability to grow.
Absolutely.
So
Like it helps the business owners, right? They can focus on their business enhancement and business sales instead of a technology.
yes, and you're right. And I think that this is exactly the point, because merchants don't want to become IT experts. They want to remain merchants. Otherwise, they would have opened an IT company, right?
Yes.
So yes. So although you may need some degree of technical expertise within the business, because you're still running IT solutions ultimately, but again, it goes back to the first answer I gave you, that you need to be able to deliver agility to companies. And this is where Salesforce, I think, is getting it right, because they are bringing all the things that the merchants need under that same hood, with the modularity of being able to leverage bits and pieces depending on when you need them. So I think that is
Got
a
it.
crucial thing that other platforms are missing out on. And the other thing that is particularly important is the fact that they keep updating all these solutions and making those integrations between the different clouds more and more immediate, right, and reliable.
Hmm.
So this is they have a vision to unify commerce, right? And although
Absolutely.
commerce becomes more and more complex. I mean, back in the days, it was pretty straightforward, right? You had a catalog and a buy button, and everybody was pretty amazed with that. But right now, things have changed. So to bring all that into one platform, if you did it, if you didn't do it in a modular manner like Salesforce did, you would have a massive platform that for some businesses would be too complex to manage. So this way, again, you can enable
Hmm.
businesses as and when you need them. And the power of Salesforce Commerce Cloud is exactly this: is that rapidity and agility in integrating with the other parts of Salesforce, but also the ability to integrate it with other tools which are outside of Salesforce,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because not everybody has to buy all the Salesforce solutions, but you still need to be able to leverage the commerce platform to bring that experience to the public.
Absolutely. Why? Because and why I raised this question is, at least in India, I've seen it multiple. Most of the firms they use Tally as a connector. I mean, for handling the finance sector.
Okay.
End of the day, they maintain the finance over there, but they need a system to connect with Tally so
Mhm.
that they can avoid the manual work. That's why I posed this question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as you know, I'm not based here, so I don't have vast experience into the Indian market. But the same kind of thing is applicable in any other territory. So, in the UK, for example, you will have a typical integration with ERP systems that may be Sage, whether it's Line 50 or 200 or SAP or other solutions. And with the API layers that Salesforce provides, that's relatively easy. But there's also, I think this is something worth touching on. There is a wealth of partners that have delivered cartridges, right? So let's say connectors between
Yeah.
technologies, and they save a lot of the time that you need for the integrations and make them more reliable, because Salesforce actually vets all those integrations. And this is something that I find particularly interesting, because whilst with other platforms, you see that in their app exchange, they have good and bad apps,
Yes.
right? Because many of them are not vetted, and the difficulty that companies have, that strain that the companies have in building connectors that are able to pass the checks of Salesforce, is a guarantee to the client that when you install them, they're actually going to work, right?
Agreed.
So that is important, because what you see in many platforms is that you start implementing or integrating, adding modules and so on. And at the beginning, you don't really notice it, because you add one or two and everything is fine. But because most of them are hosted outside of the platform itself, and you're essentially building connection points and possible fail points with the platform. Now, that often what happens is that you're only as strong as your weakest point. So if you then
Yes.
start, if you start connecting modules that are um, not performing at the same level of your website, it kind of spoils all the efforts that you've made in building a really fast website, etc. So your site is going to start slowing down. And I mean, there is statistics and research everywhere demonstrating that the speed at which the website loads is directly proportional to the conversion rates. So it has
Agreed.
it has a direct impact. So we have to take all these things into account, especially as we carry on moving forwards, because the landscape and the ecosystem in digital has grown so much. There are tens of thousands of technologies that you could plug in, and it's all like little shiny lights that you're looking at. You want them all, because everyone promises the world. But you have
Yes.
to be really mindful of what you put on your website. You don't have to enable all the experiences. You have to enable the relevant experiences.
Exactly.
Yes.
What fits in.
Yeah.
And in fact, like we discussed about this scalability of the platform, and you gave a robust answer to that. Now, it opens up a question for capability of the platform.
Okay.
Suppose, I mean, exactly this big billion days we see it as we do it on Amazon, Flipkart, we do have it. So the Salesforce Commerce platform at a peak hours like this, suppose if a franchise is doing the some
Like
big
a
billion
Cyber
days.
Monday or some. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So is that capable? What is the capability of this platform? What is the traffic handling mechanisms?
Okay. So I'm not going to go technical on this, but in short, I don't think anyone knows, because the limit hasn't been hit yet. So the platform has been delivering across all the highest peaks. I mean, we're talking about a multi-tenant solution, right? So this is a solution that where the vast majority of clients are essentially running on the same, let's say, servers, right? Right. Or and what I think, sorry, I'm thinking here, I'm trying to position this in a way that it's more easily understandable from a business perspective. We get, without going into the details of the technical things, there hasn't been any real downtime which was unscheduled. I mean, they promise a 99.95% uptime guarantee, I believe. But if you look at the historical data, it's higher than that. And this is done whilst retaining the performance on the website. So it's not that um, you have a massive spike in traffic and all of a sudden your pages take 10 seconds to load. The performance has always been at the highest level. So Salesforce Commerce Cloud, but I would say Salesforce in general, in more general terms, is pretty much an authority when it comes to being able to handle peaks and performance. So I am not aware of any cap that has been reached so far on Salesforce Commerce Cloud, which is definitely not what you can say, something you can claim for many other platforms, because you see platforms that have been hacked. You see how platforms that go down, that slow down massively, to the point that there are third-party technology providers that provide queuing system for peaks, right? Because you need to be able to manage those peaks, and the infrastructure is not scalable enough. So you need to start queuing people to be able to access checkouts and so on. So there is, if you think about another type of solution, which is not SaaS, where the client is responsible for managing its own infrastructure, and managing that scalability. So now you are relying on the client's digital maturity and competence to build an infrastructure that is going to scale at the highest levels. Um, that's why you see sites going down. That's why you see sites not performing, being slow, and so on. But when you're
Agreed.
working with a SaaS platform like Salesforce that has clients all around the world, all the biggest clients that you can find, right? They're all there. I'm not saying, okay, not all of them, but many of the, yeah, it'll be an exaggeration, but many of the largest retailers on this planet leverage Salesforce Commerce Cloud with hundreds of sites on the platform, not one, all around the world. Um, they're not complaining, are they? You haven't heard of these massive brands all of a sudden going down. That's not happened.
Yes, true.
So
I
I
mean,
would say,
I do have a couple of use cases of them.
yeah, okay. But we're on Salesforce Commerce Cloud, so that's the question. But I think, look, I don't think we're ever going to know what the limit is, because
Perfect.
yeah, it needs to be a pretty big spike. It's a nice problem. I think if you reach that level, to the point that your site goes down because you had a peak which is so big that pulled down the whole Salesforce infrastructure, I think you have a very nice problem.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, thank you for that. Like, we talked about the scalability and we discussed about the capabilities of it as well.
Mhm.
And the next point comes is, suppose if the platform is scalable and capable, people love to come into this and they're going to give all the details like about it. Now the question is, what is the resilient? How resilient is the platform, the data? And the question is, why I'm asking this is, there is a saying, like, by looking at your attire, we can read your mind, what kind of a person you are.
Mhm.
That's what even this e-commerce things, right? We everything we will buy it there. We'll add it in our cart, so people can absolutely read what kind of a person this is. So
Yes.
if I'm entering my data, how robust, especially this Salesforce Commerce Cloud is.
Okay, there are two elements to this. One is a legislative perspective, right? So different countries have different laws, and you need to understand how you need to manage the data across the different countries and territories. The other thing about privacy is also perception, right? So a system may be safe and secure, but it may not give that feeling to the client, to the customer. So what you have with Salesforce is, we'll touch on Hyperforce essentially. So you need to be able to manage, especially at the levels that Salesforce operates, with the kind of clients it operates. But this is now mandatory also for businesses, for startups, because managing the data, it still has to be done in compliance with the local laws. So with Hyperforce, you can work on data residency and segregation. So essentially, you can decide where that data lives, and decide what use you're making of the data that you have, although you still retain the possibility to view the data from one place, from anywhere in the world. So you can control the data and check the data from regardless of where you are. But where that data actually lives is in the local territory where it needs to be hosted and kept, right?
Also in
Yeah.
compliance with the local government body norms.
Yes. So for example, in Europe, you have GDPR, and with GDPR come a number of additional complexities that didn't exist before. So the possibility for the client to request exactly what everything you know about them, right? So they can ask for that, and you need to be able to provide it. They can ask to delete and erase all the data that you have about that client. So unless you have full control over the data, it becomes a massive manual operation to handle all that. So
Got it.
that is important. Then, if we're talking about security, so and here I was touching on perceptions, right? If you, as a client, every now and again you hear about platforms being hacked and data being leaked. With Salesforce, that I am aware of, this hasn't happened. So you don't have, it's not been hacked. If you know of any Salesforce Commerce Cloud site that has been hacked, let me know. I'm not aware of them. So I don't take this as a fact, but I'm not
Yeah,
aware
even
of
I
it.
haven't heard of it.
No. So that helps build trust with the client base, right? So also, not just with the companies, but some more tech savvy people like to know, what a certain website is running on. I'm one of them. Okay, I work in this industry, and therefore I get curious. But imagine there's also other people that want to know, is my information, my payments, are they being managed by a through a technology which is trustworthy, right? So
Yes,
I think that it comes also, the use of Commerce Cloud is also adds value to the reputation that you're building for your brand.
absolutely.
Okay.
In both the terms, right? Like we have one government norms it is following, and as well as the company policies.
So one thing which is important to manage is that although of course there is the capability, and many other platforms also provide that capability of managing the data and the security and all that, there is to say that with some platform, I won't mention any names. I don't think I need to, but with some platform, the responsibility of the legal compliance with uh, in terms of security and data management, etc., sits with the client, because they are the ones hosting it, they are the ones retaining the data, and maybe they're using an open source platform. So at more enterprise level, or even in the middle market, or even with startups and medium and small businesses that are looking to scale and have and host, let's say, much more client data, sensitive data, you really have to think about your strategy, because do you really want to be responsible yourself for managing and handling all that? There is often the risk of the consequence of mismanaging that data could be way more costly than
Agreed.
what it costs to set up a solution that can handle it properly from the beginning, right? There's a reputational risk, and there is a financial risk, because you could be fined, right?
Yes, as a business owner, I don't want to get into that. Especially, I
No,
want
because you want to be a business
as,
owner.
exactly.
You want
I
to be a
want to
merchant.
increase my
Yeah,
business.
exactly.
I need to focus on my revenues.
And I guess I need to touch on one more thing then. When you're looking at data, we tend to think that our e-com site is where the data lives, right? And
Mm.
at more enterprise levels, by all means, there is a different level of digital maturity, and therefore people know very clearly how to manage that data. But in the ESMB space, with small businesses, the perception overall is that your data is on the website, it's on your database, but you're using plugins that
Hmm.
you're exchanging that information with other plugins, and so with third parties. Where do they host the data that you're giving them? So when you're
Hmm.
working on data residency, you have to take into account where that information is being shared, because that needs to go on your privacy policy, right?
Exactly.
So you need to be able to disclose that information. And especially in regions like Europe, where you have GDPR, which is quite stringent, it's quite you have to, you really have to handle it properly. You need to take into account how many modules are you using, how many companies are you actually exchanging information with for your recommendations, for your email marketing, for all these things, right?
Hmm.
You're exchanging data. So are you as resilient, as controlled as you really think you are? You have to ask yourself that question if you're looking to scale.
Agreed. Correct. Correct. So in that case, like maybe I need some ledger sort of like what is happening every single aspect or every single part of my business.
Well, let's say you need a system.
Uh,
Nowadays, you need a system, because it's not, this complexity is only going to grow. So
hmm.
you really can't give it for granted. You
Hmm.
need to think about a strategy to manage the data, and for example, with Salesforce, with Hyperforce, you can you can do all that. And Salesforce at the core has been thinking about data security and all that from the very beginning, from before Demandware became Salesforce Commerce Cloud. That was already one of the core principles within the company. It was of fundamental importance.
Exactly. That itself brings the trust to the
Yes. Also, because now
customer.
we're talking about hyper personalization, so the amount of data that we are collecting and leveraging and shuffling, it's increasing. Not to mention, if we are looking to then train
Hmm.
AI to use that data, and then we're going into a whole different field. But yes, it's one of the, probably going to become one of the most, if not the most important part of
Hmm.
running a digital business.
Agreed. In fact, that's what my next question I thought of asking you. AI. Now, these days, AI is everywhere. After this chat GPT came into picture, people in the world using AI like anything. You could say for every single aspect, even from school kids to the adults or the old people, everyone is using it. Now, the question is how this Commerce Cloud leveraging AI capabilities for increasing user interface or the for the business owners, how it is leveraging the capabilities to increase the margin, revenue margin.
Okay, so let's start by saying that what I believe. So I'm not an AI expert, but I can see where this is going in commerce relatively clearly. So whatever we're looking at now, whatever we're using now, it's virtually nothing compared to what it's going to be 5, 10 years down the line, right? It's growing at a rate that um,
10x.
yes, and you just can't ignore it. And I believe that once quantum computing becomes more of a thing, then the growth of the AI is just going to be insane. So we can't imagine today what the future is going to hold in 5, 10 years time. And because if you think about it, just very few years back, we had no idea that we would be able to generate images and have something like ChatGPT or Gemini, right?
Hmm.
And we are at the embryonal stage of AI. This is the very beginning. We're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, right? So we'll have to wait a little bit longer to be able to say where this is going exactly. But how we're leveraging AI currently in e-commerce. For years, we've talked about product recommendations, right? So, but in reality, in most cases, what we're looking at is solutions that essentially look at your purchase history and browsing behavior, and based on that, tries to make sense of it and propose recommendations. Um, uh, Search is becoming more, let's say, better at managing natural language processing, and coming up with results which are more and more relevant for the client. But we can't really call that AI. I mean, that's machine learning, or essentially we're trying to teach the AI to use information in the way that we think is best. The point of AI is that one day the AI won't even tell us maybe, but we'll use the AI in the way that it thinks it's best, right? So our duty today to be able to have phenomenal experiences tomorrow, we need to start looking at that data and thinking how we store it, right? So it's going to go towards hyper personalization of the experience. And what this means is that the interaction won't be with customer segments, it will be with individual people. So the AI will learn about that person, build profile, enhance the profile, enrich it, and gradually get to know that person at a very, very personal level. However, do e-com platforms today have what they need to be able to capture all that information, store it in a way that makes sense? The answer to me is only to a very small extent compared to what we'll need tomorrow. So at the moment, and this includes Commerce Cloud, which is not a negative thing. This is what I'm saying is that because we will need to be leveraging so much more data and use it in ways which are so diverse compared to now. At the moment, we're only making a very, very limited use of AI. So you're looking at things like better and better product recommendations, customer profiling, customer segmentation. You're looking at search. You're looking at generative layouts. So in Salesforce B2B Commerce, this is already going live with the ability to essentially write in the chatbot what you want to display on the page, and it will give you a relatively, let's say, basic layout that you can then tweak to your liking. Okay, this shortly is going to be rolled out also on Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and potentially other platforms will soon follow. Right. So tomorrow or in 1, 2 years time, probably the quality of the output that you're going to get from generative AI is going to be much, much better, more precise, right? To the point that we're going to go towards no code page creation, right? We already have, I would say,
we are already in that path. Even
we are already there pretty much. But I think that what we are content at the moment with what we see as an output, because the rest of the world is not coming up with fantastic layouts. But 5 years down the line, there will be AI that generates layouts which are mind blowing. At the moment, what I'm saying is that although everything that we're doing now looks amazing, right? In 5 years' time, it won't look amazing,
yes,
right? You will look back and think that didn't look amazing. But
that's
what
what.
we are now able to generate with AI, like 5 years' time,
Hmm.
that will feel amazing. So we need to keep evolving. That's the thing. And I think
Agreed.
that Salesforce Commerce Cloud comes with a couple of things. One, we said, is the ability to expand into the rest of the Salesforce ecosystem, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at another product, which is not often mentioned, but I think it's going to become one of the most relevant products, Salesforce products going forwards, is Data Cloud. Data
Okay.
Cloud, which was the customer data platform, it's
Hmm.
being rethought because it won't just hold the customer data, it's going to hold every single piece of data. And that is probably going to become the place where the information is stored to be able to then train the AI. So imagine this, right? You have a situation where you want to offer a discount to a customer, but what discount are you going to offer them? On which product? Which one is the most likely product that they will buy? So
Yeah.
the AI will be able to capture information. Sorry, not the AI. The data cloud is able to capture information from all the platforms that you have if you connect them, right?
Yes.
So it already has a bunch of connections that you can use. But ultimately, imagine that you connect it with the ERP. So now you know your stock levels, you know your margins on products, you know all the data that you have on all the past orders and so on. Then you connect it with your warehouse to check on availability in which warehouse. Then you connect it to your marketing platform, and you connect it to your analytics, you connect it to whatever else you have. What happens then is that you can enable experiences which you can't currently do on an e-com platform alone. So an
Really.
example is you have a listing page, a product listing page, right?
Yes.
This is basic example, but you can now list it based on the information you have on the e-com platform. If you connect it to the ERP system and you know your margins, you could choose to list it by bestseller, but to list first to prioritize the products with the highest margins. So you are highlighting products which are bestsellers, but which also give you the highest margin. Or you could decide to highlight those for which you have excess inventory, right? So at the moment, you don't connect all those dots with the single e-com platform. You have to look broader because a business is not just made of e-com. Yeah, you need to look at your stores. You need to look at all that. So it could be that if you collect all the information in one place, you can all of a sudden say that product has a 15% discount in that geographical area in those stores, because now we're talking about omni-channel
Yes.
operations, right? So it's not just the website; it's also the stores.
Yes, we need to check the inventory at the back end, demand in the front end.
Yeah.
Like
So you could choose to then move part of the inventory to different locations where in store that product is more purchased, right? And offer maybe a promotion on those products because you are paying for them to sit in the warehouse at the moment and it costs you money, right?
Yeah.
Because excess inventory costs.
Correct.
Okay. How much discount are you going to give? So if you know that a person it normally buys with 20% discount, why would you offer them 30% discount?
To encourage the people in one aspect.
You are encouraging people with a discount, but if you're collecting the data in Data Cloud, right, and analyzing it, maybe using AI, maybe other systems, okay, but you can get to the point where you say this user is more likely to buy, it is likely to buy already with a 20% discount. Why would I offer him 30%? I'm only going to offer 20%. If he doesn't buy it, maybe I'll offer 25. But as a human, you can't do this at an individual level when you have millions of customers, right?
Absolutely.
The AI can, or other systems and logics can, as long as you have the data. So
Yes.
Data Cloud becomes the central pivotal part, in my mind, okay, this is my personal opinion, of collecting the data in one place, not just the customer data, but all the data that you have. And that will become the training ground for your own personal AI. Because the risk at the moment is that everybody's using generative AI, but everybody's using the same few platforms, right? Few AIs. That gives you generic information from the world. It doesn't have your information. So you need to train your AI. You may 10 years down the line, we may still be using ChatGPT, okay,
Yeah.
or Gemini. But will it leverage the information that it gets from the world, or will it leverage the information that comes from you, from your clients? It's probably going to be a mix of both.
Yes.
But the unique experience is going to be delivered in
The
once you can give it the right information.
Correct.
So you need a platform that can structure that information the right way.
So you're saying like this data cloud and the commerce cloud combination would be the best platform.
Depends what your ambitions are, and depends what the volume of data is, and so on, right? Because to train AI, you need a lot of data. But
Exactly.
already Salesforce out of the box has Einstein, and with Einstein you're leveraging AI to do a number of different things. And I'm not going to go into details of that because we're going to be here until tomorrow just listing all the capabilities.
Yeah.
But I think that going forward, especially in the middle market enterprise, data cloud will be a go-to point. And I wouldn't be surprised if down the line data cloud becomes part of
Yes, yes.
either
Even
of core or either of commerce cloud, because it's such an integral tool. So we'll see. And again, even data cloud is still a young product, so I'm sure that they will enhance it to the nth level. But the problem going forward is going to be, how do you handle your data? How do you manage it? Where you collect it? And how you keep it safe? These are
exactly.
going to be really important points going forward.
Yes, as a typical Salesforce enthusiastic, even I'm aware of this Salesforce vision on this data cloud. Like it gonna create it as a base for all the other clouds for all the industry businesses. Which, as you perfectly said, this right, they're gonna mold this, their inputs and also the outputs, like all sort of information. They're gonna keep it in this data cloud and then give a unique customer experience.
Yes, and again, customer experience, you don't have to do all at once. As long as you're storing your data in the right way from the get-go, then gradually you can enable more and more experiences. Because remember that investments need to be sustainable, right? And sustainable, I'm not talking about nature in this case, and I'm talking financial, commercial.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to support that cost until it brings the ROI. So it's not really a matter of how pricey it is or how much the license cost is. It's more a matter of how much can you get back from it in how much time. So you're probably the bottleneck in getting the ROI is not the technology per se, it's the team that executes the plan on it. Because we say we deliver solutions, but ultimately they're tools, right?
Yes.
So if you give a hammer to a person and you don't explain how the hammer works, you're not going to get any value out of it. Okay? So
Exactly.
maybe a hammer is a piece of
The
machinery,
skill
right?
has to be there.
Yeah, assuming that you have a piece of machinery which is really complicated, if you don't teach anyone to use it, you've paid for it, you need to maintain it, you need to support it, but it's going to be sitting there accumulating dust and no one is going to do anything with it. If you teach people how to use the machine, now you have a solution. Okay, so you have the tool and you have the knowledge to use it, but you need to use it. Because if you know how to use it, but you're just sitting there not using it, you're still not going to get the value from it, correct?
Correct.
All right. So now I think our responsibility as an agency in general, or as agencies in more general term, is to provide the machinery, right? Provide the tools, make sure that they are fit for purpose, enable the clients to use them, and help them make use of it constantly so that they get the ROI. So if you give them too much all at once, the team that needs to execute on it is going to be overwhelmed, right? You're giving them too much, it's too complex to operate, and so on. So the beauty of Salesforce is that modularity, is the ability to start small. So it's suitable for startups, small, medium businesses, and so on. And then gradually you can scale all the way to the moon, right? Because you see that some of the largest retailers on earth are using it across multiple clouds. So you're using Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Commerce Cloud. You connected with MuleSoft and connected with all the legacy systems, and then with other third-party technology providers. And then you have all the other clouds that Salesforce offers, industry-specific clouds, you name it, right? That there is everything.
Yes.
But imagine that overnight you give all of that wealth of tools to a person who is starting to use Salesforce now. It's not going to go anywhere. You're paying for something that you're not using. So I think the important thing, and I think this is it's a responsibility that all the agencies should take upon themselves, is to not just try to sell, but try to sell what is most relevant now, and maybe give a roadmap for the clients to be able to grow on in a sustainable manner, so that you can get and capitalize on your investment sooner and gradually grow on it.
Absolutely
Does it
agreed.
make sense?
Yes, 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 it is. And in fact, I totally immersed into your conversation. I'm forgetting the time as well. Okay. We would like to wind up the discussion, but with the one question.
Mm.
Because you brought up the points like Salesforce Commerce Cloud, the scalability, capabilities, resilient behavior, data storing capabilities, and also we came up with artificial intelligence as well.
Mm.
Now, these are all the capabilities a commerce platform can come up with, the business owner can take it. Now, the question is, how as a boutique organization like Cloud Odyssey is best in implementing this, and how Cloud Odyssey can give a resilient solution to the end users? Do we have any use cases, and what do you say about it?
Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to talk about specific use cases today, but because I think it's a matter of having a method and an approach,
Hmm.
right? Normally, when we talk about use cases, if you see case studies in that you'll find on the internet, we're always talking about the best projects that we've ever delivered. But let's talk about a method, an approach, a concept.
Hmm.
Cloud Odyssey has a particular approach to both technology and clients. We specialize, we are a boutique agency that specializes in Salesforce and focuses on some specific industries, right? Which doesn't mean that we only operate in those business in those areas like retail and consumer goods, but that the majority of the work that we do happens to be in the area. So our experience grows faster in those areas compared to other areas. But then we have certifications across all the different platforms and industry specific platforms and so on. Now, the approach from our end um, is to learn about the company at a greater level from the start, right?
Hmm.
So technology is one technology, do it well, learn everything you can learn about it, become the authority in that space, okay? The thought leader and the authority in that space with competence. And when it comes to the client, we want to understand what happens behind the scenes, because often clients come to us with requirements. And requirements tell us only half of the story. They tell us that what requirements represent is what the client thinks the solution to their problem is, right? Or to their challenge. It could be that they want to gain something or they want to fix something. So it's pain or gain. But that is the representation of their thought process of what they think will solve the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, they have experience in digital to an extent. They have experience with their product and their company to a great extent.
Hmm.
But often enough, we have more experience in digital than them. So those requirements are not necessarily the best requirements for the client. They need to be validated. But if
Yes.
you only validate them at project level, you're not seeing the bigger picture. So, for example, if we receive requirements for an e-com site, and we see that they haven't applied best practices in the product landing page, product listing page, we'll fix it, right? We'll propose new requirements for that page.
Yeah.
But the question is bigger: is should you even be doing e-commerce at this stage? You've requested an e-commerce site to us, but should you actually be doing an e-commerce site?
Okay.
Let's have a look at your processes behind. Let's understand why you think, how you came to the conclusion that e-commerce is the solution to your problem.
It's a proper consulting approach.
It's a proper consulting approach, but we're not talking about the massive consultations where you spend 6 months trying to spec out every detail of the company, etc. It's understanding that working with an agency isn't commissioning work; it's building a partnership for success, right?
Agreed.
So if we don't understand why they're doing it to start with, and how they came to the conclusion that that is the best solution, and what is the current situation in terms of processes, team maturity, all of that, how can we advise on what is best to do next? So
Agreed.
our approach is this. And this is where I'm starting to answer your question finally, right? Sorry. So once we get an understanding and we build a partnership and we build that trust, the client opens up and tells us more about their ambitions, their vision, and we can build a roadmap together. So we can say, 3 years down the line, you want to be here, right?
Hmm.
This is what you would need to be there. These are the things that need to happen. We can break that down into the key milestones. We can look at all the potential challenges. We can look at the possible solutions. We can break that down into projects, and then we get to the first project, right?
Exactly.
So, and
we are giving a visualization to the vision.
Yes, it's a visual representation of their roadmap that we're doing. Now, visual is not that it's on paper; it's a conceptual thing, right? But we are aligned on what we want to reach. So now, even the project team and everyone knows that when the client comes with a requirement, it's their interpretation of how they can change something or add something that will get them closer to that goal.
Agreed.
So now we can give our opinion not at the beginning of the process, always. So we become the trusted advisor of our clients for their digital transformation journey. That may start with e-commerce, that may start with CRM, or may start with data cloud. But we are there, capable of advising them across the entire Salesforce stack from a technological perspective. But
Yes.
starting from our leadership team, starting from the people that we have hired internally, we're able to advise on the general digital ecosystem. Because don't forget, there's more than 50,000 technologies out there that connect to e-commerce alone. And that's just looking at probably MarTech. So if you start looking at all the systems that are out there, it's completely overwhelming. So you need someone that can handhold you throughout the process, that can also prepare you for those things. So when you go, and normally when a company asks for a quote for an e-com site, it will be given a quote for the e-com site. It will hardly ever get questioned on are you even ready to go on e-com to launch an e-com site, right?
Correct.
So then we handhold our clients, and we approach that digital transformation journey together. And I think that's the key of the success, because they have the experience on the company, the product, and their market, and we have the experience of the technology, on the specific technology, on the broader technological landscape, and on how to get to those points, because we have already worked with the larger companies, and we have already worked with the smaller companies, and we have seen how that journey happens, right?
Yes.
So we're going to be, let's say that we're the ones that the approach for us for the innovation and everything is hand-holding the clients, but also being handheld by the client in learning about their industry. So together, then we venture on that journey to get those results.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant approach. In fact, I like to talk to you more on this, but I want to be in the time.
In the next episode.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Maurizio, for this fantastic session. And you totally give us a broad perspective why this Commerce Cloud is actually needed and how it is advantageous, especially for the business owners to taking any decision.
Yeah, I really think that this is a conversation that could last for months. And to be honest, it's a conversation that we have with every client, because understanding if a solution is good for you requires that level of attention and passion about what we're doing.
Exactly. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
With that,
Thank you for inviting
with that, I like to conclude our today's session. Thank you so much for the people who joined in. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll come up with another fantastic webinar next month.